All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into something that's part medical mystery, part philosophical puzzle, something that really tests the limits of what the human body can do.
I mean, really think about this. How can an athlete finish a race, let alone compete, on what's basically a broken bone? An injury that would have most of us, immediately calling for an ambulance. So let's dig in.
Okay, so to really get to the bottom of this paradox, we have to start with the basics. We have to talk about pain. What is it really? And why do we even feel it in the first place?
So, you can think of pain as your body's built in alarm system. It's a super fundamental survival tool, right? It's basically screaming at you, hey, stop, something is really, really wrong. But here's the kicker, that alarm, it doesn't sound the same for everybody.
And this is where things get really, really interesting. That alarm system we just talked about, well, it's not some fixed factory setting. For some people, that dial is cranked all the way up, and for others, it's turned way, way down.
Yeah, this point is what we call the pain threshold.
And it's so personal. It's completely unique to every single one of us. And get this, it's not even constant. It can actually change based on your genes, things that have happened to you in the past, or even just your mood in that exact moment. So for some people, that threshold gets lowered. And that's when you see conditions like chronic pain, where even the slightest touch can feel like agony. What's happening there is the nervous system has become, well, sensitized. The body's alarm just gets way too jumpy, ringing off the hook for pretty much no reason. And this chart, wow, it just lays out the two extremes perfectly. On one side, you've got that lowered threshold. This is what people with chronic pain deal with. Their nervous system is just on high alert constantly. It's often caused by something called neuroplastic changes, which is just a fancy way of saying the brain literally rewires itself to be hypersensitive, kind of like a car alarm that goes off if a leaf falls on it. But then on the other side, you have elite athletes. They have an increased threshold. Their brains have also been rewired, but through intense training and mental strategies, they've learned to reinterpret that alarm. Pain isn't a stop sign anymore, it's just normal. So, what happens when that incredible, high pain threshold gets pushed too far? I mean, pushed past its absolute limit, and maybe even beyond. To really understand the danger here, we've got to look at a real case. Our first person of interest takes us to the 2024 Paris Olympics. We're talking about the British marathon runner, Rose Harvey. So check this out. Just 2 miles into the marathon, she felt this intense pain in her hip. She knew the next 24 miles were going to be absolute agony. And yet, she finished the race. Her time? An incredible 2 hours and 51 minutes. It was only after the race she got the diagnosis, a stress fracture in her femur, a broken bone. She literally ran a marathon on a broken bone. I mean, that's just a mind-blowing example of completely overriding your body's loudest warning signals.
Okay, so her story seems to fit the bill perfectly, right? But a deeper dive into the case files suggests that maybe, just maybe, we should be looking somewhere else.
And that brings us to our real subject, another incredible British athlete, the triathlete Lucy Charles-Barclay. Her story is going to add a whole new dimension to this puzzle. So Lucy's at the top of her game, right? She's featured in a huge Red Bull magazine spread in late 2021. But then, just a few months later, in March 2022, after ignoring some persistent pain, she gets diagnosed with a femoral neck stress fracture, a serious injury. So here she is, facing the same choice. She's pushed past the pain to the point of injury. But she makes a different call. She makes the incredibly tough but wise decision to pause her career. She took the time to recover. And then what happens? She comes back stronger than ever and, in October 2023, is crowned the Ironman World Champion. It's the same phenomenon, but with a totally different and fascinating outcome. Okay, so at this point, we kind of have the what figured out. It's this ability to raise your pain threshold. And we have the who, these elite athletes like Rose Harvey and Lucy Charles-Barclay. But the biggest question, the most compelling one, is still hanging out there. The why. Why would anyone push through that kind of pain? Well, for that answer, we actually have to step away from medicine for a second and dive into philosophy.
Believe it or not, the 18th century philosopher Immanuel Kant gives us a really powerful way to think about this incredible display of willpower. So, Kant talked about two opposing ideas. On one side, you have what he called the charming. Think of it as that easy, pleasant feeling of satisfaction. It's the voice in your head saying, just stop. It'll feel so good to just stop. It's all about immediate comfort. But on the other side, you have the sublime, And this is something totally different. It's overwhelming, it's awe-inspiring, it's that feeling of transcending your own physical limits. It's the triumph of your will over your own body screaming at you to quit. It's the feeling of finishing the race against all odds.
So when an athlete makes that decision to push through unbelievable pain, what they're doing is an act of the sublime. They're choosing this higher transcendent goal over that immediate, charming comfort of just stopping. It's a pure, raw moment of mind over matter. And all of this brings us to our final verdict. It's maybe the toughest question of all. This ability to achieve the sublime, to push past pain. Is it a superpower, or is it actually a curse?
Look, there's no doubt about it. An elevated pain threshold is basically a superpower. It's what makes world-class performance possible. And athletes develop it through intense mental strategies. But it's also a huge vulnerability. Because when you get really, really good at ignoring your body's protective signals, you can end up with severe long-term injuries.
So in the end, this whole thing isn't just about athletes, is it? It's really about human ambition, that drive for the sublime, that need to push past our limits. It's what drives us to do great things. But it leaves us with this really tough question. Where do you draw the line between a heroic achievement and just plain old self-destruction? It's a razor-thin edge, and that's the ultimate paradox.